G'day and welcome to Aussie Vision. This is Dale. Thanks again for joining us this week. Now, we've been gone for a couple of weeks because ultimately there wasn't a lot happening in National Final and Eurovision land, but that is all changing from this week. We had the Luxembourg Song Contest on the weekend where they selected their entry, and now pretty much for every week until the end of time, which is really about mid-March, we're going to have national finals and artist selections coming out every week, all the time, unexpected, planned, everything. It's going to be a very busy time, and we're going to go through all of this together. Now, on this week's show, we'll be talking about the Luxembourg Song Contest with Craig from the Aussie Vision team who has been covering it, and also preview Belgium's Eurosong as well, because they're favourite in the odds at the moment. Now, we'll also be looking ahead to Greece and their national final with Kyriakos. Now, Kyriakos used to be part of the Aussie Vision team. He's gone into retirement, but we've dragged him back out to be a special guest to talk about all things Greece. He knows Greece, he knows them in Eurovision, he knows their music, and he is someone you want to listen to when it comes to this national final. And finally, Mike will be back to give his verdict on Finland's Erika Vikman and her song Ikkome, which has caused a lot of conversation in the Eurovision fandom, and a lot of people are loving this song, so we'll see what Mike thinks about all that one. Now, before we get started, there's just two things I want to have a quick chat about, which is hot off the press semi-final draw last night. Australia drew second semi-final, and we are super happy with the result of that. Pretty much as soon as I saw in that draw that Germany and UK had been placed in the second semi to vote, I was like, I want that semi. As long as it doesn't get filled with terrible countries that don't vote for us, I want that semi-final. And ultimately, thanks to some great statistical analysis from Dolphin Dane on X/Twitter, we could work out the countries that are more likely to vote for us in the televote. Now, this isn't worked out by just the total points, because ultimately, in a semi-final, that can be really skewed. You might have a really good year where a country gets to vote for you, and a bad year where they don't, and vice versa. So someone can look like in your up times that they love you, but you really want to know who's in your down times. So who was going to vote for you when you're not getting many televote points coming through, like a real bestie, who's there for your dark times. So when you work all of that out, we ended up picking, if we look Australia's top 5, is Denmark, Sweden, Malta, Iceland, and Finland. And we got Denmark, Malta, and Finland. Fantastic result. That's just the top 5. If we look at the top 10, we also got Ireland, Israel, and United Kingdom. So that's fantastic, which is 6 of our 10. So, you should be getting half, so that's not massive. But if you keep going down, out of our top 12, we got 8, including Germany and Luxembourg. Out of our 16, we also got Lithuania, Latvia, Austria, and that's 11 of our top 16. Statistically speaking, we should be getting half, and we got 11. So that's a great result for Australia. And the other bit of news is Teenage Me is very excited to see that Samantha Mumba is competing in Ireland's Eurosong national final. Now, she had some cracking songs in the early 2000s. Gotta tell you, is just it's a bop. It's her life's work, her life's achievement in that one song. It's amazing. Now, we had some conversations in the Aussie Vision team, and I found out lots of them didn't even know who she was before Eurosong. So we did put a little social media poll out. About half of people on Twitter didn't know who she was before Eurosong, and I think it was about 40% on Instagram. So there's a lot of children who need some education here. What is happening? What are they teaching them in schools? More Samantha Mumba, please. But we won't talk about her song My Way now. We'll obviously do that closer to the national final itself. All right. That's enough from me. Let's get cracking with the show. Okay, we had our third Eurovision song over the weekend come out of the Luxembourg Song Contest. Now, to talk about the song and everything to do with that national final, I have the wonderful Craig from the Aussie Vision team. Welcome, Craig.
G'day, Dale. Fancy meeting you here.
Indeed. Now, for those who aren't across Craig as the Aussie Vision contributor, now he's been covering a lot of Belgium over the years and Luxembourg in recent years, as well look, we won't talk about your beloved Malta today, Craig, but there's a reason we have you in these kind of countries is because you are one of the many French speakers of the Aussivision team, aren't you?
Oui, un peu, mais I think Steven's probably a little bit better than me, but I hold my own, I think. I hold my
That,
own.
that's it, and that's why we get you to cover this, so you know what's going on, and then eventually, when we talk about songs later, I will be getting you to pronounce them. But before we get to the actual winning song, what did you think of the actual national final overall? This is second year for Luxembourg coming back doing the national final. What did you think of the actual show?
Look, I don't think we can underestimate how great it is just to have Luxembourg back at all. With that said, look, the spirit of Denmark does feel like it's been spreading across the continent a bit in the last couple of years. And unfortunately, I do think Luxembourg may have caught that disease a little bit. Both years, they've had very impressive production, a great actual show on the night. They're clearly so happy to be there, but the songs have felt a little bit Danish, derogatory. And so, look, I felt that pretty much came through on the night. It was a great show. They got Conchita Wurst to present, who seemed like she'd taken a couple of happy pills beforehand. And the production, as always, the staging looks like you'd expect to see it at Eurovision. Like there's really just so much money behind this. But the fundamental problem for Luxembourg in both years, I think, has been they're a country the size of, like, they're not that much bigger than your Maltas and your San Marinos and stuff, and the song quality feels like it's playing in the same sort of small pool.
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree. Like, I think the lineup was, not the greatest, but overall, I think I totally echo what you said. Production quality, that stage looks amazing, I must say. There's also a little bit of a chaotic energy to the show in itself, and Conchita added to that for such a nation like it. It's not like Balkan crazy, but it just seemed
There was a live proposal. Someone proposed
Yes.
to their husband or wife on the show. It was very weird.
There's always just a bit, it's just, there's a little bit of tweeness about it, which I like. I think it's quite endearing. But yes, we'll see where they go with things. But we did have a winner of the Luxembourg Song Contest. And who was that, Craig?
So the winner was, I think, as widely expected, Laura Thorne with La Poupée Monte le Son, which is itself a bit of a response to the 1965 Eurovision winner, Poupée de cire, Poupée de son by France Gall.
And before we talk a little bit more about it, let's hear a little snippet of the song. All right, Craig, was it a worthy winner? Was it the right result?
Look, I'm biased. You put a girl on a stage singing pop music in French and I get excited. But I think overall this was the best thing they had. It's the thing which had the most personality to it. It's the thing which felt like it's actually shooting for a point of view. The France Gall aspect of it is a little bit twee, and I think they perhaps overplayed it on the night because, like, they also had, not only did they have the intro clip of France Gall there, they also then had a whole interval act dedicated to her. At times it did feel a bit like the broadcaster was on their knees begging and pleading for the audience, please vote for this one. But that is not to take away from what is a perfectly respectable and good performance. It's very cute. Laura's actually really charismatic. She was really good at playing the facial expressions, and the song itself, look, it's really up my alley, but I am a bit twee and I like French pop music. And I think that this is something which, if you're nerdy about French pop music from the 1960s, there's something to play with here. So for a bit of context, obviously Poupée de cire, Poupée de son, everyone sort of knows that one. But France Gall, that song was by Serge Gainsbourg, who's a very famous composer and pop music producer in France, who worked with France Gall. They had a bit of a weird relationship, and she didn't, later in life, she sort of had mixed feelings about him. But in that song, Poupée de cire, Poupée de son, you hear her singing about basically being a doll and other people control me and I sing songs for them and stuff. And so that's the background for what then you have here in La Poupée Monte le Son, which is much more. It's like the Greta Gerwig's Barbie to sort of the original Barbie doll, if you get me. This is the girl power version of France Gall, and now she's sort of got a bit of girl power and she knows what she's doing. And that context for me really adds to it. I like that aspect to it. Will anyone in Europe get that on the night? No.
I think it's one of those ones where, okay, maybe they won't get it, like it's not going to be immediately apparent, but I do think it's something to play with in the build up. So if when the promotion of it, obviously they can play into that a lot. They'll be talking about it. It'll be a talking point. The commentators will mention it. So you've already got something there. And I totally agree that it was the best package of what we saw. I thought there was a couple of others that were okay or had something. And I never like totally loved this song, but I always thought, if I was there and making a judgment, I'd be sending this because I think it has the best chance to get votes for a few reasons. I thought she did a pretty good job overall. There was just something to me felt a little clunky with it. And look, it's a national final, so there'll be time to get it right. And I also thought the sound mixing was a bit off with everyone. Their vocals sounded very exposed at times. So even though I thought she did a good job, at times I was a bit like, oh, I just feel like this feels, I don't know. I don't say she sounded bad. She didn't sound bad, but I think the whole package will benefit from a full Eurovision stage to making me enjoy it a little bit more.
That's very diplomatic of you, Dale. And I agree to an extent. I did think that she came across as a person who, she was far from the worst vocalist on the night. There were some really ropey vocals on the other ones, and I felt she mostly, I didn't actively feel like it was painful. I think the worst thing you can say about it, and people are saying it online, is that it's a little bit junior Eurovision, but I don't think that's also the end of the world. I think there's probably a market for this at the end of the road.
Agreed.
But yeah, in terms of how I think it might go in May, like, as I say, things like this have done well before. Loin d'ici in 2016 is the obvious point of comparison for this. And again, everyone was like, this is so twee, this is so cringe. And then everyone loved her on the night. She did super well. She got a massive televote. And everyone was like, where did that come from? And even if people don't get the France Gall thing, I think I see a similar sort of fate for this. People aren't going to enjoy it in the lead up. It's not going to be big in the fan bubble, but I do expect it to be big on the night.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. That's kind of where I'm kind of feeling about the whole thing. Obviously, we don't know what it's up against, but I feel there's a market for this. You don't have to win over everybody, but you've got to win over some people to vote. So I think it's there. But interestingly, it didn't win the popular vote, but perhaps there were reasons for that. So who won the popular vote, and why do you think that was the case?
So the popular vote winner was 0.5, a bit unexpectedly, perhaps because their performance was sort of giving 0.5. But they were sort of doing Mumford & Sons, sort of country-esque pop, which I didn't dislike. It was quite, like, it was perfectly pleasant. I felt like on the night, I don't want to be rude, but like, they're clearly talented performances. They're clearly very charismatic. But it felt like the sort of performance which was more well-suited to a small venue, or like a bar show or something. And here they are on this massive stage with these cringy road signs piping up in the background, and they just felt like they got a bit swallowed, and they were entirely dependent on them. But then out of nowhere, they get 110 points. So why is that? I was a bit perplexed by why everyone was cheering so loudly for them. So halfway through the show, I did a bit of a Google, and then it turns out that these guys are like Luxembourg's most beloved band. They go around the country touring. So it's one of those cases where the fans were really paying attention to one song just based on their listen to the songs, and then the local public has a clear favourite just based on name value. And so that's fine. And I also don't think we should understate the fact that Laura Thorne only finished 20 points behind them in the killer vote. This wasn't like a case where they were hundreds of points ahead or anything.
Yeah, exactly. And look, you don't have to worry about being rude on this podcast. I mean, we have a void of mic to fill for a lot of rude comments, so you can be as harsh as you like. Look, I do think, like, I actually quite like this, but yeah, it felt a little bit, even though they are Luxembourg's beloved band, it felt a little bit like I'd hear down at Fortitude Valley, Brunswick, more kind of, busking or playing one of the local pubs at times. I do think it would have suited something smaller, so maybe just not for them for Eurovision. So I think overall, jury got it right to send the right package for Luxembourg.
And you know what, Dale? Some of the best nights of my life have been had out in Fortitude Valley Mall. So I don't want to diss that. This was fun, and I really like the choruses of this. Not so hot on the verse, but come back next year. I'm sure they'll end up going one year, and I'll be happy to see it.
Well, okay, well, just across the border, we have Belgium, and they're having their national final next week, Eurosong. So we've had the 8 songs come out over the last couple of weeks and some showcases that you've been keeping abreast of. Craig, what do you think of the overall quality of what Belgium is serving us up this year?
I think this is actually really strong. I think they first did Eurosong 2 years ago, everyone was a bit skeptical, and then by the time we got to the live show of that, a lot of goodwill had been built because we had acts like Sherin, we had the Starlings, we had Gala Drago, and then of course Gustav came out of nowhere, and everyone loved him in the end as well. So I think the goodwill was already there this year, and they've really played to that. They've got some good names. There's Mantissa in the lineup, who is someone who is really big across sort of, maybe not in Dutch-speaking Belgium, but she's really big across French-speaking Europe. And I was both surprised to see her in the Dutch national final and also really, really happy and excited to see what she'd bring. But even aside from her, there's the lesser-known acts have all brought really strong songs. I think this is far better than what Luxembourg's serving, if I'm honest.
Doesn't sound like that's going to take much, though, to be honest. But I will say, I'm very, the odds before the songs came out had Belgium rocketing to the top of the odds, like someone knew something that no one else did, and that they were going to serve us some kind of incredible Eurovision winner. Now, I have not listened to the full song of everything, but I've listened to all of them to a point, and nothing was screaming me like, oh my God, there's a Eurovision winner amongst it. I haven't seen everything yet, of course. Am I missing something, Craig? Is there something in here that is screaming Eurovision winner? Why they're top of the odds?
I think that them going to the top of the odds has actually done them a disfavor, because it put an enormous amount of pressure on these songs before they even came out. And it meant that everyone was looking for the Eurovision winner, and there were these impossible expectations that nothing could ever meet. So if we take that away and we stop thinking about that, I actually think that Red Sebastian, who is in the second showcase this weekend, his song Strobe Lights, I actually do think that there's perhaps a top 5 or a top 10 in there, definitely. Perhaps even a winner if the rest of the year proves to be, a bit hokey. Like Red Sebastian feels like he's drawing on that Belgian tradition of like Loïc Noté, Blanche, Hooverphonic, sort of that alt, edgy, occasionally sort of EDMist vibes. And there's something, it feels really energetic, it feels really powerful. And it also, I think what perhaps got some intern in Belgium excited to go place €500 on it was probably that it reminds me a little bit of Nemo from last year, but perhaps a little bit more accessible. So I think that is the song that's gotten people excited. Do I think it will definitely win Eurovision? Probably not. But do I think there's a top 5 here? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, it has to get through the national final first, and we know from Eurosong from 2 years ago, anything can happen, because even though we all loved the song of Gustav, we never thought it was actually going to win, and that was a shock result. But out of the ones that I've kind of had to listen to, the one that you pointed out was the one that kind of jumped out to me, going, oh yeah, this has something. But as we know, who knows what can happen in this national final? It feels like there's a lot of good quality songs, so it certainly doesn't feel it's sorted and we have a clear winner out of this yet, is there?
No, and I mean, Mentissa's there. She's a legitimately big act, and I think her song, particularly in the studio version, is absolutely top quality. I know that's going to be going on my national final top 100 at the end of the year. There's also another bit of a fan favorite, which is Fille à Papa by Le Manu, which is a very well-produced piece of garbage, which I very much enjoy listening to, but the lyrics of this can just get in the bin, I'm sorry. And I know it's pretentious to be like, oh, this song that isn't in English has really bad lyrics, but Fille à Papa translates to English as daddy's girl, and she essentially is singing for 3 minutes about how she's a daddy's girl and how she likes all the expensive presents that he buys her. And it doesn't come off to me as being a sort of satirical or ironic thing. It just feels like she's like, yeah, I like my handbag. Get on it, peasants, you know? And so
I'm failing
even
to
if it's
see
a
the
bop,
issue here, Craig.
no, I mean, I think that karaoke can absolutely work, but they sort of need to feel like they're clueless, whereas she just feels like, yes, I am richer than you, and that's good. And I'm just sort of, oh, it just irritates me. But it's a bop, and if I turn my brain off, I can enjoy it. The only other one I wanted to highlight, sorry, is Len, whose song is bad, and whose vocals in the showcase performance were questionable. But allegedly, well, not allegedly, he is the grandson of Louis Neefs, who went for Belgium twice in the 1960s. You may remember Jennifer Jennings from 1969. So he's his grandson. And that song is still quite well known in Belgium. And so I've seen a few people online suggest that he might be the potential Gustav vote if we were to get one. But if that were to happen, I don't think he's getting a Gustav-like result in Basel, I'll be honest. But otherwise, great job, Belgium. Love what you're working with.
Oh, well, the national final will be next Sunday morning here in Australia. Looking forward to seeing what the result is and what Belgium serves us up. But thanks for joining us, Craig. Appreciate your insights as always. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you on the podcast very soon.
Thanks for having me, Dale. See you soon. Bye.
Okay, we're going to Greece next, and we have a special guest for our chat to preview the Greek national final. It is Kyriakos, who was in the Eurovision team, and he's making a special guest appearance because you had to come back for Greece, didn't you, Kyri?
Of course. Hi, Dale. Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute honour, and no, you all can't get rid of me. I'm back again just for the Greek national final, but yeah, no, very excited. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, it takes something special to bring you back because for anyone who doesn't know, Kyri did so much for Eurovision. We would not be what we are today without Kyriakos, but he has taken a retirement from Eurovision. How are you enjoying your retirement, actually?
Yeah, I've taken a step back and enjoying Eurovision from the sidelines and as a fan as well. So actually has been quite enjoyable, but great to see Eurovision flourishing and doing really well. You guys are doing amazing work and still love to see it.
Well, we miss you, but it's great to have you back for Greece. Now, the reason you're back to talk about Greece is because they're having a national final for the first time in years.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a good route to go down to have a national final? And what are you thinking about it overall?
At first, I was actually very nervous about the whole thing because back in 2018, they were meant to have one and they had 5 entries and then 4 of them got disqualified and we ended up with Yana Terzis, sorry. So I was like, oh crap, there's going to be some kind of drama, some kind of controversy. But no, seems to be running smoothly other than one disqualification that we got in the beginning, but that's fine. Yeah, it's called the Ethnikos Telikos, which pretty much translates to national final. It used to be called Ellenikos Telikos, which was Greek final, and they actually started doing them back in the late 70s. So I think it's like the 23rd iteration. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see how this pans out.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited they're actually doing it. I think it's a good route to go down. I think they've obviously come back in a good way of getting some solid results with kind of, I guess, quite... Other than last year, of course, which was very Greek, there was quite a lot of more, I guess, generic-y kind of European songs, but then they went full kind of Greek last year. And I just want to see a full range of different songs. And I kind of feel like this national finals delivered it. It feels like there's a lot of diversity in the songs.
You're kind of right. Looking back, actually, most of the national finals will pretty much have that ethnic sound and that Greek sound that people usually look for. So most likely, we might get some kind of result like that this year.
We've done the Eurovision rankings and we had a clear top 2, and it's also the top 2 of the odds and also the top 2 of the fan polls. Now we're going to talk about 2 of these songs here, and I'm going to get Kyri to introduce because he'll pronounce it better than me. What's the first song that we're listening to here?
The first song is Evangelia with Vale.
right, well, this is second in the odds, but first in the Aussievision rankings and first in my rankings. But
Yes.
what do you think of this, Kyriakos?
Yeah, quite expected, really, from the Aussievision team. Aussievision team loves bops. But yeah, it is definitely a hot favorite, like especially in the fandom as well. It has that Euro Cup vibe. Like, it sounds extremely familiar. But also that breakdown, that ethnic instrumental breakdown with the litter, it's quite striking. But I'm very curious to see what they do that with staging. But it's very catchy.
Yeah, I think that's what I love about it. I love that he's kind of mixing something there for everybody. Like, it's not going full-blown Greek restaurant, smashing plates and being ridiculous, right? It's actually very kind of like European, almost gives me a little bit of World Cup-y or football type of vibe to it, which it's just fun. It's a bop. You can go along with it, but then it adds a little bit of Greek flavor to it, which, look, people at home just want to see. They want to see a little bit of that. And so I think it balances the two really well. And look, I'm basic. And I just actually think it's quite a bop. But it'll be interesting to see how it is staged. What do you think its chances are of actually winning? Second in the odds, but do you think actually has a chance?
Look, I think it does, but I'm so nervous. Like, Greece is a Balkan country. I'm expecting some kind of drama or some kind of like twist result or someone like unexpected to win. I'm extremely nervous for this. I would love to see it go to Eurovision. But yeah, I have no idea.
It feels like, I feel you're so, I guess, it's almost like, when, like, from Australia to Side's point of view, like, we were so like, oh my God, what's happening with it? You feel very passionate about it, obviously.
Yes,
I mean, it is because you've got quite a connection to Greece, of course, and you really like follow the Greek music charts and everything as well, don't you? You're kind of really into the whole scene there.
Yeah, I do. And even going to Eurovision, watching Eurovision, I used to watch it with my grandfather back in the early 2000s, and we watched like Ellen Paparizou with Antique come third, and was so excited for that. So, and yeah, and my grandfather used to work as a Greek a DJ and radio presenter, so definitely have a strong connection with Greek music. Still listen to it, love it, and love seeing some representation here in the top 12 that they have for this national final as well.
All right. Well, let's we've got our big Bob. We've got the one that I'm absolutely loving sick, and I think actually would be a great Eurovision song until I see the live and I can change my mind. Let's talk about the second song here. Which one is that?
Yeah, this is Glavdia with Asteromata.
Now, I did see in the Aussievision rankings, because you did make a special guest appearance and get to rank, that you gave this your 12 points. So you obviously like the song. Tell us why.
Yeah, I absolutely love this. I just find the start so haunting, and it just has a very nice, majestic build-up. And I think it has like some very, lots of potential for some impactful staging. Maybe like Jamala 1944. There's not as much wailing in this song, but I'm hoping that she does something very special with the staging. But I did notice, Dale, you had this as like your 4 points. What do you think of this one?
Oh, well, look, the thing is, I did actually really like it, and I had to revisit it before our chat as well. And look, I do think it has something special. I think it's because I really liked a lot of songs in this, and I actually found it quite hard to rank after my 12 points, which is, oh no, my top two are pretty close. And then after that, there was just so many that I really enjoyed. I really, really loved. And this could have been like 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. So I'm not rolling back on it, but it kind of feels like the one that will elevate for me live. Like, I think with these type of songs, sometimes, you know, when you've got these big flashy things like Vale, and there's a couple of other songs that kind of really go into the kind of almost wailing Balkan sound that I love as well. This just kind of has something in the middle there, and I think it'll come to life a little bit more. So I don't dislike it. And hey, I noticed that you gave my Vale only 6 points, so I think
yes.
It's my girl versus your girl, basically. But so I guess, what are you hoping to see maybe from the staging to, like, I guess, take this, you know, to Eurovision? What would you like to see come out of the song on stage?
Well, I have to say the first thing I did think of was 1944, and some sort of like starry, dark, ethereal thing, and then it opens up and brightens up at the end. If she did something like that, that would be good. I do have one reservation though. Like, it does remind me of Oniromo by Yana Terzi in 2018, so that worries me a little bit. Like, I guess 2018 was a long time ago at Eurovision. Like, if it did go to Eurovision, how well would it do? Because she finished 14th in the semi-final. That's my only worry. But yeah, looking forward to see what she does.
And the thing I think with look, I do think the contest has evolved, and actually I think that would do a little bit better now. And without being too harsh, I think it was more about the performance maybe than the song, because I think a song like that is about the performance. You're not going to like whistle that down the street, in 2018, and probably like this one now as well. It's going to be about how you feel and how that artist makes you feel when they perform it. So if she can smash it, then I think it has every chance, of course.
Yeah, if she stands there with just her hand up, coloured in a certain colour, I'll be very worried then.
Like she smacked a Smurf, basically.
Yes.
So with the Greek national final, I understand it's 50% public voting, 25% Greek jury, and 25% international jury.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Now, how do you think that's going to play out? You said you're a little bit nervous that maybe something could go awry because you think the public will vote weirdly, you think the jury might do something. What are you thinking? What's the drama going to be?
I trust the public. I'm just expecting some drama with the jury, and maybe who they have there on a panel. I think that would be heavily influencing things as well. And just having watched lots of Greek reality shows, they thrive on drama, which most do, but I'm just very nervous about that. And if a certain song that seems like it shouldn't be going to Eurovision ends up going, then I'll be throwing the chairs and tables and all that kind of thing.
We need to have a live stream when you're watching these results, because that could be quite interesting. Now, obviously, it's not just these two songs. There's a lot of other great songs in the mix there. I know you had a couple that were worth mentioning. Which ones were they?
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning Konstantinos Christoforou, who's been to Eurovision 3 times. So this would be his, he attempted to go for the 4th time, which is great to see. And he's doing a duet with Kostas Karafotis, who actually came 3rd with Fame Story, which was like X Factor meets Big Brother. It was really strange back in 2004. And that was the year Kalomiro won. So it was unexpected. I actually thought he was going to win that whole show. He has an amazing voice, so great to see him part of something like this. I never would have expected that from him. And also, I think I'm pronouncing this right, Hanova Khan or Xanova Xan. I've butchered that already, but that song Play It. It has a Swedish Greek team behind it. It's Dimitris Stasos, who's written lots of Eurovision entries before, together with Peter Bostrom, who's written Euphoria and Tuji's Stay, and has a big presence in the Eurovision world. That's great to see as well, and interesting to see how that song plays out.
Yeah, the first one you mentioned there, I think we were the ones that gave it the highest points.
Yes.
I gave it 10 and you gave it 8, right? And I loved it. I just think I think he's great as well. And I think that could be something really quite special. I wouldn't be surprised to see that doing well, maybe with the Greek jury and stuff, but maybe the internationals. But who knows? It really feels very Balkan in the sense of, Greece within the Balkans, and who's on the international jury? I don't know. If Swedes, they might go for the second song instead.
Exactly.
We'll have to wait and see on that one. And if you're worried about butchering the pronunciations, thank God I'm not saying it. That's all I'm saying at this point, indeed. All right. Well, look, I'm looking forward to the national off after we get the results. We'll also have you back on, Kyriakos, to hear your thoughts, if you've calmed down or if you're celebrating, depending what's happening with it. But hey, just great to have Greece having a national final.
Exactly. Great to see them do this and take this route again, and let's see how it goes. Hopefully it's a successful experiment.
Awesome. Thanks, Kerry.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have Mike here to talk all things Finland and UMK. Well, not all things, just one song, really.
Yes, back again.
Okay. Now, before we get into the song itself, let's talk about the artist we're going to actually have a listen to. It's Erika Wickman, who infamously did not win her national final with the amazing song Cicciolina. Were you a fan of Cicciolina, Mike?
I was, but not a crazy fan like other people were. I still think it probably should have won that national final, though. So, ultimately, she wouldn't have gone anyway because of the pandemic, which would have been a shame. But no, it was a good song. So, perhaps she's got a bit to back up here.
Now, when you say you're not a crazy fan, you've mentioned multiple times that you want to get those bear suits that we in her live national performance. So I don't know if that's not a crazy fan. I don't know what is.
Well, they could be two very different reasons I want those bear suits, Dale. I think we'd look amazing at a Eurovision party in those bear suits. So
we'd need an Erica Vickman.
Well, we could find one, I'm sure.
Liv from the team.
If anyone can hook us up with those bear suits in Finland, please let us know. We're willing to pay cold, hard Australian dollars. All
right, well, let's talk about her song for UMK this year. Let's have a little listen to it first. It's Ikkome. All right, Mike, you've just listened to it before and watched the video.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
Well, great branding, I have to say. She's a branding queen, and she's hit the nail on the head again with this video. It's fantastic. I really do love the video and the visual. Now the song, Dale. Look, for me, unfortunately, there's barely much of a song there.
What?
There's some, for me, it really does hang off that punchy and catchy chorus.
Which is a song.
Well, apart from that, where are the verses? Where, there's not an awful lot hanging around apart from that, to be honest. Even when the song starts, we have a very, very short verse, if I'd even call it that, a few lines, and we're straight into the chorus. Now, that is a little telling for me. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of your most famous phrases you say is, don't bore us, get to the chorus. So you're not liking it here, though?
No, but it could just have something a bit more. Now, like the song itself, I do think there's some very cute synth and production moments in it as well, because we're leaning again into that kind of Finland synthy kind of 80s vibe. But literally, apart from that chorus, sorry, there's not much there. Not much at all.
Well, the thing is, I guess, and they'll have to maybe play up to the story about this. I mean, obviously, it's completely filthy. It's German for I'm coming, and I think you can just work out from the rest of the entire song and the lyrics that it's very much around that. But that seems to be the shtick, right? I think that they're going for with this.
Yeah, but Cicciolina, for example, was a little risque. In its content and its performance, perhaps. I wouldn't say so much in the performance, but it didn't get through. I just think it's probably laid on a little too heavy with the smuttiness on this one. And you know me, I'm a big fan of smut. But this is pretty much, I don't know if we're getting to the icky bit, but it's smutty, which is fine. And like I say, I like the visual. I really enjoy the video. I think it's really well shot. So therefore, I think there's perhaps some almost like staging hope there. So I do hold some sort of hope for what we're going to see live on stage. I think she'll be able to perform it. But you don't, there's a fine line to kind of, I don't know, decent taste and taking the piss a little, and I think she's got to be a little bit careful there.
Yeah, like I think I prefer things a little bit maybe more subtle and a bit more tongue-in-cheek, and I think in this video the tongue is almost in a different type of cheek, like it's pretty full on.
Pretty much see it,
but,
yeah.
But also, I will say the things that I really like about it as well, like I do like the harking back. It almost sounds like when she does those kind of big bits of harking back to Finnish 80s Eurovision songs also. Like there were some fantastic songs at that time of the 80s. And I like a lot of that. And I like the chorus. I really like a lot of it. But when it got to the ending, it wasn't so happy for me, even though that's what they're obviously alluding to with the massive overproduction and how quick it gets. But actually, it feels far too messy for me at the end of the whole thing. I don't want to totally overanalyze something that's pretty simple here in the song that they're trying to do. But Yeah, I don't know. I had the second overall in the UMK. I liked it, but I didn't love it, and I'm hoping maybe the live will bring it together for me to kind of just go like, oh wow, yeah, cool, awesome.
I'm going to agree. Like, one of my notes here is the final part of the song is way overblown production-wise, and the vocal manipulation becomes very electronic, etc. That's not good for a competition song. Like, which jury member in their right mind is voting this high on composition and, on vocal? It's probably not going to happen that way. So, again, she's got to get points to get through, and I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen any of the other UMK songs,
True,
so maybe this is the pick of the bunch. But I don't know. There's something there that just says this is going to fall a bit flat.
I was hoping for more, I won't lie. I think some people absolutely love this, and I think what it will have in its favour is getting a cult following. Because I do think it could be one of those type of songs, not a cha-cha-cha level, but something like that, where you're going to have a bit of a cult following for it, which will definitely help at a semi. But also, I think a lot of people will be put off by it. I do think it is, as you say, I do think it is actually crossing a line that I'm not bothered about, but I'm not even sure the EBU will be particularly happy. Like, grab my ass and like,
it is what I mean. It's in Finnish, so most of the audience isn't going to know. So do you see this getting through? Do you think this is going to go to Eurovision for Finland?
I think this UMK is pretty good. There's other ones in there that are pretty decent. But I think, I don't know, like, it's hard to know what's happening with the Finnish people and how the juries are going to vote. There's nothing else that goes, oh, wow, it'll beat it. But there's decent quality stuff in there. So it's no certainty. I mean, look what she lost to in 2020.
With the most very beigey kind of song she lost to last time, which...
And Cicciolina was a lot better, but there'll probably be a lot of goodwill, and if no one else comes and brings it, then I could totally see her winning it. I would have no issue. I hope she goes.
Yeah. She's an icon.
Yeah,
she's amazing. I love her. I'm just not very keen on this song, apart from the chorus, which I love.
All right, I can't wait to probably see the live performance and go, I love it now. It's amazing.
If they bring out those bear outfits, I'll be absolutely beside myself. But no, yeah, look, it's not the worst thing I've heard all season, but...
Ooh, controversial. It'll be very interesting to see what people think. I reckon this will split people. A bit. Now, that's for the main podcast, your little take on Finland and Erika Vikman.
Yes.
We will be doing things on the bonus Patreon where we will be talking about 2 of the Greece songs.
Ooh, yes.
A head-to-head battle. There's 2 kind of females that are the favourites, and we can see which one you like better.
I'm looking forward to this because I haven't heard anything. And don't forget, Greece was my favourite song last year from Eurovision, so I have high expectations, fingers crossed.
All right, that'll be on the Patreon. But other than that, thanks, Mike. We'll see you next week.
No worries. Uru.
So you can subscribe to Aussievision's Patreon to get that bonus episode where we're going to talk about 2 songs from Greece and actually 2 songs from Belgium as well. And if you missed it last week, we did go through, I think, 4 or 5 of the songs competing in Spain's Benidorm Fest. Now, you can find out what song Mike said this about.
Well, Dale, I can't believe that you would send me this song at work when I am trying to be professional, and next thing, I am knee-deep in puss.
You'll have to wait and see what song that is. We know that Benidorm Fest has started, but there's still songs that we've talked about that are in the running, so you can check that episode out as well on our Patreon. That's it for this week. Thanks so much, and we'll see you all next week after a big lot of national finals. We'll have 4 new Eurovision songs at least to talk about. See you later.